Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is said to have many different revelations that will lead to saga-wide implications in this story by Disney, Lucasfilm, J.J. Abrams, George Lucas, Chris Terrio, you name it. That's going to make us view the 8 Star Wars movies that come before this one in a different light. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 is that we do know that this movie is going to have many different twists and turns that are going to come out of nowhere, and that's really going to change how we view even films within the sequel trilogy, like The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, for example. However, there are other decisions that Disney made throughout all the changes and the adjustments during the months of August, September, and October that really weren't all that great in my opinion at all. In fact, I think it makes it worse than what they have done with the entire Skywalker saga so far, and how it kind of really does change how we view the prequels now in a negative sense, where it's actually going to change everything related to the characters of Anakin and more. Now, with that being said, alright, during the reshoots and the rewrites, Disney and Lucasfilm really wanted to do this in order to create a new tone for the movie, where it's explained that through many of the changes and adjustments to the film by Disney and Lucasfilm, it said that both Disney and Kathleen Kennedy wanted to change the overall tone for the film's second and third acts of the movie in order to make the film cater to a general audience. Now, it's explained that one of the major changes that Disney and Lucasfilm went through was by deleting various scenes from the film's middle and end of the film, where it said that Disney and Lucasfilm during the reshoots took away a majority of the fight sequences between Rey and Kylo Ren as well as Palpatine. That Palpatine barely even fights Ben and Rey inside of his throne room on Exegol in the final cut. Originally, there was going to be a full-on battle between Rey, Ben, and Sidious that would even include a lightsaber, and that it was Kathleen Kennedy's idea to delete a scene that would explain how Palpatine even survived the fall of the second Death Star. The current version of the film does not explain how Palpatine survived from the second Death Star explosion, and that a majority of this will be explained in the upcoming novelization due for release this March of 2020. It said that also Kathleen Kennedy and Disney deleted a segment in the film in which Ben Solo's Force Ghost was going to appear on Tatooine. However, both Kathleen and J.J. Abrams wanted to make an ambiguous fate for Ben Solo after his death and to keep it mysterious on whether or not he became one with the Force. Lastly, it's noted that it was Kathleen Kennedy's idea to completely reset the franchise by making the 8 Star Wars films that come before this one to be all about Rey, and that the Chosen One prophecy was all leading toward Rey to become the Chosen One, and that Anakin was just the key to all of this happening, and that Anakin is no longer the Chosen One at the end of the film. Kathleen Kennedy wanted to undo the events of the past and reset the franchise by doing all of this. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and as to why this really is a bad decision by Disney and Lucasfilm beyond belief. Now, this is going to be one of the major flaws in the movie, is the fact that this movie basically destroys Anakins Legacy, destroys the fact that he is the Chosen One. And not only that, I think it's a disservice to George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, who flat out said that Anakin is and always will be the Chosen One. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, because he is the one that destroyed the Sith once and for all. Here we go, though, in The Rise of Skywalker, we have Rey who defeats Sidious by deflecting his own power against him. Now, the thing about this is that the end of Episode 9 is going to set it up that the Chosen One prophecy was really all about Rey and not necessarily Anakin. And to me, I think that that is Disney's poor way of kind of just coming up with poor, writing for the actual script of Episode 9. JJ's writing and Chris Terrio's writing for this movie. Again, we do know that this film was rushed, and they probably missed a lot of things. Really makes you wonder, does Disney recognize that Anakin is the Chosen One, or did they do this on purpose? That's the biggest problem. Now, we do know that Kathleen Kennedy, yes, wanted to reset the franchise, and so it may have very well been done on purpose if she wanted to reset the franchise. That's their way of resetting it, is that now we look at the prequels, and when we learn about the Chosen One prophecy, it's really all about Rey, and that Anakin was only the key to destroying the Sith. He wasn't the actual answer to destroying the Sith. It was all about Rey. That to me, I don't know about you guys, but that to me just kind of feels a little wrong. Feels very wrong. The fact that Disney and Lucasfilm just betrays the fans like that and says, nope, Anakin's no longer the Chosen One. It's now all Rey, and the Chosen One prophecy was all about Rey and was never really about Anakin. And then Anakin was only a little small key, a little piece to the puzzle, if you will, and Rey was the manifestation of that. So I don't know how I feel about this. I really don't, because the only thing that I can really feel right now is I personally feel betrayed as a fan. The fact that Disney makes Rey the Chosen One, has her destroy the Sith, and she goes on with her day. But yes, granted, alright, obviously we do know that at the very end of the film, Rey is going to have the power of many different Jedi. We're talking about like 1,000 generations worth of Jedi that she becomes a part of. That's basically Disney's way of justifying that she gets these godlike powers. And to be quite honest, when we look at The Rise of Skywalker, right, this movie is actually said to have a lot of bold decisions in it that not a lot of fans will agree on. It really makes you wonder, right? Do you think that they have any common sense? Do you think that Disney would have any common sense if George Lucas came out and flat out said, Anakin is and always will be the Chosen One. There's no changing that. And then, of course, when Disney comes in, takes over Lucasfilm because George sold it, right? With The Rise of Skywalker now, they make Rey the Chosen One. Honestly, I think it would have made a lot more sense if it was for a Skywalker. If Ben Solo was the Chosen One because he's a part of the bloodline, it would have made a ton more sense. Because Rey is just Rey random, right? She's not just Rey random though, she's not only that, she is a Palpatine. That makes it even worse. So she's a Palpatine that becomes the Chosen One, and the one to destroy the Sith, and the one to take the Skywalker name. It's almost like Palpatine's legacy is literally kind of carrying the Skywalker legacy on its back. So, with that being said, the other thing that I think is a very big mistake by Disney and Lucasfilm, and another failure, is the fact that they wanted to reduce the fight between Rey, Ben, and Palpatine down to basically nothing. So essentially, there's not a real battle between Palpatine, Rey, and Kylo. You know, there's maybe like a sequence where, like we talked about, where they block the lightning and that's about it. And there's nothing really more to it than that. There's not a real battle against Sidious in this movie. And that's, once again, I think, at minimum, you know, you need something to do with Sidious. We've seen, you know, a great example of this in the prequels. We had that epic battle between Sidious and Yoda, and I understand that's the prequels, and I think that what they're trying to do here is they're trying to do something more relatable to the original trilogy, and I get that, because in the originals, you know, Palpatine never used a saber, I understand that. But the fact that they shot those scenes and deleted them and put them to the wayside, it just shows us that Disney had potential for the very end of this movie, the final battle. They had potential to really make it beyond expectations and to really make it by far one of the most legendary lightsaber duels in the Skywalker saga's history. It really could have been up there, I will agree. If Palpatine was able to use a saber again, it would have been fantastic, but he doesn't. And that's the one big problem with the movie, is that it seems like that they always give us these characters in these Star Wars movies. They always give us these characters, and you want something from those characters, and you don't get it. A great example is Luke, right? At the very end of The Force Awakens, he's only teased. In The Last Jedi, he's in it, but he doesn't really do much at all. Same exact thing applies here for Palpatine. In the very beginning of this movie, all Palpatine does is he's strapped into a medical chair. All Palpatine does at the very end of the film is shoot lightning into the sky, apparently, and that's about it. And, of course, blocking Force lightning by Rey. Now, there's only 12 minutes, apparently, of Palpatine in this movie. It's really not that much, and so I think the fact that a lot of fans are wondering, you know, what's worth going to see The Rise of Skywalker for, I would imagine that the highlight of the movie is all about Palpatine. It really is all about Palpatine and his appearance in this movie and Kylo Ren. You know, I think that entire dynamic is going to be the more interesting side of the film and the highlight of this movie that people will talk about more. That's all at the very beginning and the end of episode 9, so keep that in mind there. So, with that being said, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.